So this is a match from the November 18th Treasure Cup hosted by Carta Magica. I'm the queen player on the left versus the ace on the right. Thought it was a pretty interesting match. Wanted to share it. I think that it's generally favorable for queen, but things can go wrong pretty quickly, especially with all of the removal that ace has access to. So it was a pretty close game, as you'll see. And he gets me low a couple times, but I think overall it's a really cool watch. So first turn he plays the Ezo, does the search. I opted to go first here. Um, I had heard that sometimes going first is better for queen just to kind of reduce the number of attacks you get from the opponent. I figured that would make sense against ace. And then now he's playing his buggy for a second search, so really good opening hand from the queen. He gets the guard point there, gets a fire fist off the Ezo. So he's set. I know he has a fire fist, so I will be kind of wary of that as I play my blockers throughout this match. I start off with the Don Quixote, Scry 5. I think this is the most important part of playing Queen, being able to set up your next 5 cards. And so in my list, I run 4 Don Quixotes and 4 Peronas. I know folks like Kai a lot. I know folks like Sogi King. And then I think based on kind of how I did today, some of that cycle probably makes a lot more sense as well. But I think running, Perona, at least at a 2 of, in addition to your Don Quixote blockers, is really, really important. So taking some time here, made some changes, put it back on top of my deck. But I think overall that looked like a really good original top 5. I think I might have moved 1 card around, and I ended my turn there. So he is now able to attack this turn. Going on his first turn, he's taking a moment to think here. We're both still at full life. And he goes 5k at leader. So I counter out with 1k. Goal being just start getting my hand low to where I want it to be. I think I already have, flash a little bit of my hand there, but I think I already have some of my top end in my hand. So I want to just try to make sure my hand's in a spot where I can use abilities and heal as needed. So he went 5k on the buggy after, got the 3,000 worlds off life, put his Ezo down so that he couldn't get a second attack in this turn, which he wouldn't have been able to anyways, just based off the Dawn, but wanted to start, again, clearing out my hand and clearing out his board. So he, of course, had another buggy in hand, got the Flame Emperor, which is a really, really good card for this matchup. And then he plays actually the Ace event stage, which you'll kind of see throughout the match, puts in a lot of work. And there is nothing I can do about that. So overall, that's, really, really good for him in this matchup because obviously I want to drain as much of his resources as possible and then just kind of slowly start to whittle him down in the end game. So for Don here, I'm thinking, I imagine I'm either gonna 3 Don. Okay. All right, so I do a 7k swing. It's at the buggy. I do not want to be going life at this point. I do see a lot of queens kind of make this mistake of going life super early, and really you want to be playing against the opponent with a 1 or 2 hand size, and so the best way to do that is just to burn their characters on board. And so in a lot of my matches, you'll see that I very happily just pass turn with 4 Don up if I have nothing to play in the early games because I just don't want to start pressuring life and giving them the things that they need to beat me out of their life. So we're passing back to the ace. Both still at full life. He's thinking, looks like he's doing a 4-2 Don split there, so maybe looking to play something. And we're going 5k on the buggy, which again, I think really, really smart. You want to put as much pressure on queen as possible. I do another 1k counter. And then 7k at leader. So that I am going to take my second life there. So back now down to 2. And then he searches with this stage. So here's kind of where my problems start. He is able, as long as that doesn't whiff, right, he's able to get, a consistent second card every single turn, which is really, really amazing for him. And he gets the crossfire, which is a minus 4,000 on any character, either as a main or a counter. So really, really good when you think about removal for this matchup as we get to the later game. But I should be at 6 Don now, and we're starting to get to thinking through what my healing turns are going to look like. Um, so I'm at 2 life, got seemingly a good amount of cards in hand. I go 5k into the buggy with Dido Flamingo. Uh, I think the idea is to try to see if he'll maybe burn some cards to save it if I go a little bit light. I am not afraid to turn my blockers sideways and go with them, especially 5k with lead. I think I really wanted to take a 1k here and just drop that card out of hand, but I think he unfortunately does take a life, if I remember correctly. And he's thinking about it. Yep, and he takes life. So that's actually not what I wanted to happen. I was hoping he would burn a card for that. So that was a bit of a mistake because now he has even more cards in his hand to deal with what I'm about to play. But I play another Doflamingo, look at the top 5 because I have drawn about 3 cards at this point. So I want to make sure that those subsequent 3 are looking good. But yeah, I'm not afraid to turn my blocker sideways, especially if they're going to go into them anyways. So I'm sitting at 2 life. I'm probably going to block the next attack. He might even Fire Fist. And so if that's the option, I might as well get a swing out with it. And sometimes just turning them sideways makes them even more of a target. So if I want to guarantee that they go for the blocker instead of playing removal and not even giving me a chance to block, sometimes going with that blocker as an attacker is a pretty good strategy for me. I am showing my cards very clearly multiple times during this match, so that's a takeaway for me to make sure I am a little more careful in my webcam matches with how my cards look. He plays the ace. Very unsurprising here. That blocker, which was only a 4K, is now even lower. He has the Seaquake, so that's kind of that removal I was talking about. He would have gotten 1 for free there, and now he goes 5K into the blocker, and so I essentially got the block out that I wanted. And then he goes 7K into lead. And so I'm looking with my, it looks like I have a prone in hand. And I'm thinking this would be 2 cards to counter out. I will be on my 8 Dawn turn next turn, so going to 1 life is a little scary at that point because I can't get a heal off. I Gum Rain and a Perona for 3k. Gum Rain, amazing, amazing card. There are a couple of matches in this tournament that I just lost because my hand was so full of bricks, just full on top end, like 5 or 6 cards that I couldn't counter out with, that I couldn't do anything with. And I run 2 copies of Gum Rain. I didn't see it in those situations, and if I had, that would have made the world of a difference because that's 3k counter, and then I can get my hand low enough to actually heal. So that is a really, really great card. Plus the trigger is not that bad. Return a 2 or less to hand, so you can use that on yourself, get the Perona back. You can use that on an opponent. Mihawk right there. This is my 9 turn. Excuse me, because I went first, and that gets rid of the ace and establishes my top end for my heals. I'm also in a really solid spot here because I'm still at 2 life. So even if he hits me with a Flame Ember, which I think he might do this turn, I am not going to lose. So yep, there's the Crossfire, which we knew he had. And 7 Dawn, he's going to Flame Emperor. So that removes my Mihawk, makes him a double attack, an 8,000 power double attack, and he has 1 Dawn up. Is he going to put it under? I believe he does. All right. So this is 9, he's swinging at life double attack, which is not great. I do counter out with the Beja here just to get it out of hand because I knew I'm picking up 2 cards and I did not know what those 2 cards were. So I wanted to avoid a situation where my hand would have 5 cards that turn and I wouldn't be able to heal because I believe I'm going to play another body here. I think it's the Yamato. It is. So I don't have anything to destroy, but I heal 1. My hand is at 3. My life is at 1. So I'm able to heal for a 2nd life this turn. If I did not discard that beige just for the sake of it, it didn't stop me from losing the life, but it did keep my hand low enough. And if I didn't do it, I wouldn't have been able to get 2 life here, which is really, really good because now I have an established blocker. I have another 9k. He used 2 cards to get rid of the last one. He'll have to use 2 cards to get rid of this one. And even if he does, I have a blocker, so he can't just hit me with the double attack again. And so this is where this matchup can be scary for Queen if it goes wrong, right? Like if I did not have the blocker in life, if I did not have a Yamato in hand, I was in a bad spot because I could put down more blockers, but I know he still has a Fire Fist, and so it would not be a good situation if I wasn't able to play this turn out the way it did. So which is why I kind of think like it can be 50-50. He plays the Newgate here. 7k body, definitely a really, really strong card, especially in this matchup with my Boa Hancocks, my Brulés. This can just kind of power through that with the 2-Don removal that it has on its body. So he's now 7k for his turn as well. He is thinking about if he's going to swing, which I I don't know why. I think it makes sense to attack either way here. Um, I guess the main consideration was okay, if he swings before his turn the boa, um, he destroys that, swings for 7. I'm at 1 life. I take no trigger, and back to my turn. Full 10 on. I have the body on board. Very easy to heal this turn. Um, and if you kind of see, like I play very quickly. I just know what I'm doing on my turn for the most part. Uh, yep, Red Rock that Whitebeard. So for better or for worse, I kind of think through very aggressively like what I'm doing on my turn, and then I more or less stick to it when it's time to play. I do not want to go to overtime as queen. It can be very scary against certain opponents, and definitely against Katakuri, you can lose by life very easily. So I try to play quick, and I think sometimes I do need to learn to deviate from my plan a bit more. But yeah, that's my typical strategy. So I did the Red Rock, I played the Doflamingo, looked at my next top 5 again. So getting that scry as effective as possible, making sure I know exactly what's coming, and I healed 1. So I probably put a blocker in there, maybe a 2k if I didn't have a blocker. But it's nice to know exactly what my life is going to be. And I'm in a solid spot. He's at 3 life. I'm at 2. I have a Yamato and a blocker. And he plays another buggy. I think this is his 3rd one. And he gets the Red Hawk, which sucks because that means to attack, I will have to put Dawn onto my Doflamingo to make sure it doesn't die, which is just kind of a limiting factor, but really, really good for him in this matchup. And so he does the 5k swing. I give him a 1k counter. Just getting rid of some of those trump cards in hand. And he's thinking he's got his Dawn set up. All right, and he uses event, right? So this is where this event or the stage starts to really put in work. I think he does whiff 1 time throughout this match, but for the most part, yep, he's pulling a Radical Beam, right? So he's just getting 2 cards a turn essentially. It only costs him 2 Dawn at this stage in the game. Like he's not playing that much that he needs all that Dawn. Gets the Atmos out, leaves with 3 Dawn up, and I know one of those is a Radical Beam, and I know one of those is a Red Hawk. So I'm pretty aware of what he has available. First thing I'm doing looks like, yep, Mihawk, the Atmos. Just don't want to give him any tools to attack me with. You play with very few cards in hand. I'm at 2. If your life is not what you want it to be, which I think I should know both life at this point, you can really just get destroyed by some surprise swings like 5k, 6k, 7ks. So getting rid of that Atmos is a priority. And now I'm thinking, like, I know he has the Red Hawk. Do I want to heal and lose my blocker? And I say it's worth it. So I go 6k into life or into leader. I know he's gonna to Red Hawk. That gets a 9k out of his hand. I already just pick up the Doflamingo before he even says it. And then I swing 9k with the Yamato because I have the Mihawk on board. At this point I'm not concerned that I'm gonna lose both, which I later learned was definitely a risky play because Ace just has so much removal. But he takes this one. And it's a Whitebeard Pirates, so he gets another search off, looking for a card. And so really, really good search for him this game. He's just been able to pull lots of cards back into his hand, which is really, really important when you're versing Queen, who just wants you to play with basically off the top of your deck so that I can swing 9k every turn and just win. So he gets Ezo, which I think is 2nd or 3rd Ezo this game. And he's set. So he's definitely, on the defensive position, 2 life, a little scary, but he has a pretty strong hand size. He has the search stage on the board. He's got a buggy to attack with, and I know he has a Radical Beam in hand and an Ezo in hand. So first thing he does, look with the Ezo. And he gets a Josian. So a 1k for a 2k, solid search for him. He's feeling good. He's thinking about what he's going to do here. taking his time. Definitely a good thing. As queen player, you do want to be very aware of the time, though. If you're going to overtime, you don't want to be caught by surprise by that. So he does crossfire, and it's at the Mihawk, I believe, which was surprising to me. I figured he would do it on the Yamato to make it an easier target, and then I realized what was happening was another Flame Emperor. So the Mihawk's dead. He is now an 8K. I have 2 cards in hand. They're on the board right there. I picked them up because I realize I'm about to get messed up right here. So he's an 8K, and I see why he did what he's about to do, but I do think in the long run it probably he didn't have much of a choice, but it might have been the reason he lost as quickly as he did after this. But he's thinking about it. He ends up using Ace's ability and discards 1, 2, 3 really good events to get him to 11K. I have 2 in hand, so I cannot counter out of that. If I could counter out of that, I would have just conceded right there if I was him, because he was pretty much done. But that's amazing turn for him. He got rid of both bodies. He did have to give up a lot of cards, but he has the stage on board, and so he is able to search for them if he would like. So I swing 5K here. Curious what I do with the rest of my Dawn. I think maybe a misplay. I could have just drawn a card. I could have forgotten about the draw, but I might be using all 10 Dawn, so we'll see how it goes. So play 1 for Perona. Look at the top 5. Yeah, I have 3 cards in hand. I might be playing a 9-drop here. And with 3 life on board, 3 cards in hand, I wouldn't have been able to heal. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So Yamato killing the Izo. Definitely not ideal to use Yamato without getting the double heal. That double heal is so strong, but I don't want to be... At this point, I want to start going for game. I have 1 card in hand. He has proven to be very effective at removing my board, so I don't want to be caught by surprise and just be rushed down. So he is now playing his 3rd or 4th Izo. I have lost track, but there's another ace. So getting so much value out of all these cards, really pushing through to get as many cards in hand as possible. And that's what you need to do against Queen. He is, being smart with his resources for the most part, and just putting a lot of pressure on me. So 5K, I have 1 in hand, thinking about it, and then I end up taking it. It is not a trigger, down to 2 life. He's also at 2 life still. He has a full turn. He could swing with both Izos, or he could swing with one of the Izos if he'd like. And then it looks like he has 3 cards in hand. So first thing he does, search for more cards. Get an event. We know he does add radical beams, which is good for me. So any event he picks up is going to be, for the most part, a guard point or a Red Hawk, and he whiffs on that one, which is really bad for him, really great for me. So up until that very last search, that stage has been putting a lot of good work for him, even with its kind of expensive use cost of 2 Dawn every turn. And so he's picking up 5 Dawn. Yep, 7K. On Izo, that is the wrong Izo, I'm now realizing, but that's okay, because he only swings once. And so he passes there. I picked that up. I don't know if I could have countered out of that. I only had 2 cards in hand, so it would have put me down to 0 in hand, which is not ideal. So I probably chose not to. So I should have 4 in hand, 1 on the board. I will need to play something to heal. And I am flashing my cards super aggressively once more. I think you see a Yamato right there. But I do 2K into the Izo just to see what he does. He takes that. So at this point, I am, trying to go for game while making sure I am defended well enough that he can't just surprise me with some removal and finish me off. And there's another Yamato. That's my 3rd one. Heal, and that one gives me a heal. I don't think I have. Yep, I shouldn't have enough for the full heal. So I get only 1 life off that, but I remove his whole board, which is good for me because Queen can lose to 5Ks very easily if you're not careful. And I am going 6K at leader. He is thinking about it because he doesn't really have that many cards at this point. His last stage search failed, and he radical beams out there. Oh, I guess he didn't drop the radical beam earlier. For some reason, I thought he did when he did the 11K attack. He dropped a guard point, so that was his radical beam. Which now I know it's gone. And so that gives me a lot of information. The fact that he just radical beamed a 6K attack means he has very little in hand. And so I'm feeling good about my next turn. First thing he does, looks for a stage, and at this point he's just fishing. I mean, he's exhausted so much removal to get rid of three of my bodies, so he did really well. He got rid of a Mihawk, a Yamato, and a Mihawk. So he was in a solid spot for the most part, but this is kind of where the matchup derails. If it just goes on long enough, Queen will power through. As ace, you want to just put on as much pressure as possible and go for game as soon as possible, because you have excellent removal options, but they do run out, and Queen will just keep on powering through if you get that body on board, which I have. So I do 1k here. I'm at 2 life, but I wasn't able to heal last turn. Want to make sure I can heal next turn if I need to, and I just don't want to be caught by surprise. He does do the rush Luffy, give him a 2k. So now my hand size is just, I think, 2 cards, 1 card. So I'm definitely going to be able to heal next turn. Yep, 2 cards in hand, 2 on board, so guaranteed heal. First thing I do is 5k with Perona, because he has 3 cards in hand, so at this point, I'm just, oh, sorry, 6k with Perona, so that's into the Luffy. Let's see if he's trying to get a 1k out of hand, or just get events out of hand, because I know he used an event to get it out of a 2k last turn. He's thinking about it. He's got very little to do. This game, I would say, is pretty much almost over, unless he gets some, insane pulls that really change everything. So 9k into life. Probably could have gone a little more aggressively here. I mean, 9k would get 2 cards out of hand, but I could have just put more dot on and definitely finished it right now. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about it. Yep. I think I wanted to make absolute sure that there was nothing he could do the next turn. So I'm just kind of forcing all these cards out of his hand. And then, yep, there's 10, heal 1, back to 3 life, went 9, 9, 10. If I didn't do the Perona swing, I probably could have just done like a 12, 12, 12 and then won the game, or 11, 11, 12, whatever the math would have been. So he has no life, nothing on board. I think back up to 3 cards in hand. At this point, I think he probably could have scooped, because with 3 life on board, there's no way he's getting through. Even with the Flame Emperor, he would need a Flame Emperor, and a Zoro is the best he could do this turn, and he doesn't even get him there. So he plays the ace. He lowers both my Yamatos. They're at 6k. He does 7k into a Yamato. My last card in hand is going to be a 2k. So counter out of that. And this is where he scoops. He realizes he's pretty much out of options. So overall, super close match. He played it super well. I think it just went on a little too long for Ace to actually finish it.